discover how Epictetus' wisdom transforms life's challenges into strength. Imagine this: you're standing in the pouring rain, drenched to the bone. Your car has just broken down in the middle of nowhere. Your phone is out of battery, and you've missed an important meeting that could have changed your life. Most of us in this situation would spiral into frustration, blaming the rain, the car, or even ourselves for failing. But what if I told you that this very moment, this seemingly disastrous situation, holds the key to the kind of strength and resilience that can transform your life? Epictetus, a man born into slavery, faced challenges far greater than a broken car. Yet he emerged as one of history's most profound philosophers, showing us that the true source of our suffering is not external events but how we perceive and respond to them. Today, we're diving deep into his wisdom, not just to learn about it, but to feel it, live it, and see how it can revolutionize the way we face life's storms. Let me ask you something. What if every single challenge you've faced, every heartbreak, failure, or loss was actually a gift, waiting to be unwrapped? Are you ready to see life through a lens that turns obstacles into stepping stones? Let's begin. When we talk about Epictetus, we're not just talking about a man who theorized from a place of comfort. He was born into slavery, denied the privileges of free will in its most basic form, and suffered physical hardships most of us can't imagine. And yet, out of this crucible of suffering came a mind so clear, so unshaken, that even emperors and generals sought his guidance. His central teaching was disarmingly simple. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Think about that for a moment. The rain that soaks your clothes is just rain. The broken car is just a machine that failed. Even the missed opportunity, it's only as significant as you allow it to be. The real battle isn't out there. It's in here, within your mind. But let's make this real. Picture this. You've been rejected from a job you were certain you'd get. You feel the sting of failure, the weight of self-doubt creeping in. In that moment, what's your first reaction? Is it anger, despair, or the impulse to blame someone or something? Epictetus would say, pause, breathe. Now ask yourself, is this rejection within my control? No. What is within my control? My response. And this is where the magic happens. By focusing only on what you can control, your thoughts, your actions, your attitude, you liberate yourself from the tyranny of external events. Suddenly, the rejection isn't the end of the world. It becomes a moment to reflect, to grow, and to prepare for the next opportunity. But I know what you're thinking. This is easier said than done, right? After all, emotions don't just disappear because you decide to think differently. And you're right, this isn't about suppression or denial. It's about mastery. Epictetus didn't tell us to stop feeling. He told us to feel deeply, but wisely, to let pain teach us without overwhelming us, to let fear warn us without paralyzing us. Let me share a story with you. There was a young woman named Clara who came to know Epictetus' teachings after a personal tragedy. She lost her job, her partner, and her home all in the span of a few months. For weeks, she wallowed in despair, feeling like life had singled her out for punishment. But one day, while reading the discourses of Epictetus, she stumbled upon this line, "We suffer not from the events in our lives, but from our judgment about them." It was a revelation. Clara realized she had been giving power to her circumstances, letting them dictate her worth and her future. Slowly, she began to practice what Epictetus called prohairesis, the ability to choose one's attitude and response. She started small, with daily affirmations and journaling her thoughts. When intrusive doubts crept in, she would challenge them. Is this thought helping me? Or is it enslaving me? Over time, Clara rebuilt her life, not because the world suddenly became kind to her, but because she became kind to herself. She found strength not in controlling the uncontrollable, but in mastering her inner world. So, here's the question for you. How often do you let external events dictate your inner peace? And more importantly, what would your life look like if you stopped? Now, let's dive deeper into a cornerstone of Epictetus philosophy, the dichotomy of control. Imagine two circles, one small and one large. The small circle represents what is within your control, your thoughts, your actions, your values. The large circle encompasses everything else, other people's opinions, the weather, the economy, even your health to some extent. Most of us spend our lives trying to control the large circle, wrestling with things we cannot change. But what if, instead, we devoted all our energy to the small circle? This isn't about giving up or being passive, it's about clarity and focus. By pouring your efforts into what you can control, you reclaim your power and free yourself from unnecessary suffering. Take a moment to reflect. What's one thing in your life right now that you're trying to control but can't? How would it feel to let go of that struggle and redirect your energy towards something you can influence? The Resilient Mind: How to Face Life's Greatest Storms with Stoic Clarity and Courage. Close your eyes for a moment and picture a ship caught in the middle of a violent storm. The wind howls, the waves crash, and the vessel is tossed about like a mere toy in the vast ocean. The crew panics, fearing the worst. Now, imagine that amidst this chaos, there stands the captain, calm, composed, and resolute. He knows that he cannot control the storm, but he can control his ship. His focus is not on the raging sea but on steering the wheel, navigating through the turbulence. This is the essence of Stoicism, the resilient mind in action. Epictetus often compared life's challenges to such storms. He reminded us that while we cannot calm the external chaos, we can cultivate an inner stillness. Circumstances don't make the man, they reveal him, he said. And isn't it true? Think about the moments when you've been tested, the heartbreaks, the failures, the losses. Didn't those moments reveal something profound about who you are, about your strength or your vulnerabilities? Let's talk about clarity. When faced with a crisis, our minds tend to race, fueled by fear and uncertainty. But clarity is born from calmness, and calmness comes from understanding the dichotomy of control. Imagine this. You've prepared for months for an important presentation, and at the last moment, technical difficulties ruin your slides. You feel the familiar rush of anxiety, but then you pause and ask yourself, is this within my control? The answer is no. What is within your control is how you respond, whether you let the mishap derail you or use your preparation to adapt and deliver a powerful speech despite the setback. But here's the catch. Clarity isn't something that just happens. It's cultivated, like a skill, and the tool to cultivate it is reflection. Epictetus encouraged his students to end each day with a moment of introspection. He'd ask them to review their actions. What did I do well? Where did I falter? How can I improve tomorrow? This practice isn't about self-criticism. It's about self-awareness. Here's a challenge for you. Tonight, before you sleep, reflect on your day. Write down one moment where you lost your calm. What triggered it? Was it within your control? How might you respond differently next time? You'll find that even this small practice can bring immense clarity. Now, let's shift our focus to courage, the ability to face life's storms with strength and grace. Epictetus believed that courage wasn't the absence of fear but the mastery of it. He taught that fear often arises from our attachment to things outside our control, whether it's the fear of losing a job, a relationship, or even our reputation. But what if we viewed these losses not as the end of the world, but as opportunities for growth? Consider the story of James Stockdale, a U.S. Navy officer who spent 7 years as a prisoner of war in Vietnam. He endured torture, isolation, and uncertainty, yet he credited his survival to Stoic principles, particularly the teachings of Epictetus. Stockdale didn't deny the horrors of his situation, but he focused on what he could control: his mindset, his integrity, and his ability to inspire his fellow prisoners. He said, "You must never confuse faith that you will prevail in the end with the discipline to confront the most brutal facts of your current reality." This is courage in its purest form, the ability to face reality without losing hope. And it's a courage we can all cultivate. Start small. The next time you're afraid to speak up in a meeting or to take a risk, remind yourself, I have no control over the outcome, but I do have control over my effort and my values. This shift in perspective can turn fear into fuel for action. Let me ask you, what is one fear that's holding you back right now? And what would happen if you faced it? Not with the expectation of success, but with the commitment to act in alignment with your values. Finally, let's talk about gratitude, a cornerstone of resilience. Epictetus often emphasized that even in the darkest times, there is something to be grateful for. He is a wise man who does not grieve for the things which he has not, but rejoices for those which he has. Gratitude isn't about ignoring pain or pretending everything is fine. It's about anchoring yourself in the present, finding light even amidst darkness. Take a moment to reflect on this. What is one thing you're grateful for today? Maybe it's the support of a friend, the warmth of sunlight on your skin, or simply the fact that you're alive to face another day. Gratitude doesn't erase challenges, but it strengthens us to meet them with grace. To tie it all together, think of resilience as a three-legged stool, with clarity, courage, and gratitude as its legs. If any one of these is missing, the stool falters, but together, they create a foundation that can withstand even the fiercest storms. As we close this part, here's a question for you to ponder. If you could face every challenge with clarity, courage, and gratitude, how much freer would you feel? The freedom within, how Epictetus' teachings unlock the path to inner peace and fulfillment. Imagine being completely free, not in the sense of wealth or status, but in a way that no external force can touch. This kind of freedom doesn't come from the world around us. It comes from within. Epictetus called it the freedom of the mind, and he believed it was the most profound and enduring freedom a person could ever achieve. Today, we'll explore how his teachings unlock this path to inner peace and fulfillment. Think about this. How much of your life is shaped by what others think of you? The clothes you wear, the career you pursue, even the way you speak. How often are these influenced by an invisible pressure to conform? Epictetus would gently remind us that living for the approval of others is a kind of slavery. If you wish to be free, he said, do not concern yourself with the things that are outside your control. Freedom begins with a shift in focus from the external to the internal. The Stoics taught that our true power lies in our ability to govern our own minds. Let's put this into perspective. Imagine someone insults you. Your first instinct might be anger or hurt, but pause for a moment and ask yourself, does their opinion define who you are? Epictetus would argue that it doesn't. Their words are simply an external event, powerless unless you choose to give them meaning. The true power lies in your response, in your ability to say, this is beneath my concern. Now, I know this sounds idealistic. After all, we're human, and emotions are a natural part of who we are. But here's the key. Freedom isn't about eliminating emotions. It's about mastering them. Epictetus compared the mind to a fortress, strong, impenetrable, and under your command. The question is, are you the master of your fortress? Or have you left the gates open to every passing thought, fear, or desire? Let's make this practical. Picture yourself in a stressful situation. Maybe a heated argument with a colleague or a moment of doubt about your future. Epictetus would suggest a simple exercise. Pause and ask, is this within my control? If the answer is no, let it go. If the answer is yes, take action. This isn't just philosophy. It's a strategy for living with peace and purpose. But freedom isn't just about letting go of what you can't control. It's also about embracing what you can. At the heart of Stoic philosophy is the idea of living in harmony with nature, not nature as in trees and rivers, but nature as in your own true self. Epictetus believed that each of us has a unique role to play in the world, and true fulfillment comes from living in alignment with that role. Take a moment to reflect. Are you living a life that feels authentic to you? Or are you chasing goals and dreams that were handed to you by others, society, family, or even your own past self? Epictetus would challenge us to strip away these layers and reconnect with our core values. Know, first, who you are, he said, and then adorn yourself accordingly. This brings us to a profound question. What does freedom mean to you? Is it the absence of obstacles, or is it the presence of purpose? For Epictetus, freedom was about living a life of integrity, guided by wisdom and virtue. And this kind of freedom isn't something you find, it's something you create, moment by moment, through the choices you make. Let's dive deeper into fulfillment. In today's world, we're bombarded with messages that equate happiness with achievement. More money, more success, more recognition. But Epictetus offers a radical counterpoint. Fulfillment isn't about having more, it's about needing less. Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. He taught, this isn't about renouncing ambition or comfort. It's about understanding that true happiness comes from within. Think about the last time you felt genuinely content. Was it because of something you bought or achieved? Or was it because of a deeper connection, a moment of gratitude, a meaningful conversation, or a sense of purpose? Epictetus would encourage us to nurture these moments, for they are the seeds of a fulfilled life. But fulfillment also requires courage, the courage to face ourselves, to confront our fears and weaknesses without judgment. Epictetus believed that every challenge we face is an opportunity to grow stronger, wiser, and more resilient. Difficulties are things that show a person what they are, he said. And isn't it true? When was the last time you grew as a person without being pushed out of your comfort zone? Here's a challenge for you. The next time you face a difficulty, instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" ask, "What is this teaching me?" This simple shift in perspective can transform obstacles into opportunities for growth. Finally, let's talk about legacy. Epictetus didn't write down his teachings. They were preserved by his students. Yet his wisdom has endured for centuries, influencing countless lives. This raises a powerful question for each of us. What kind of legacy are we leaving behind? Legacy isn't about fame or fortune. It's about the impact we have on the lives of others. Epictetus would remind us that every choice we make, every word we speak, ripples outward. So, how are you using your freedom? Are you lifting others up? Or are you caught in the pursuit of fleeting pleasures? As we close this journey into Epictetus' teachings, let's reflect on one final thought. Freedom, at its core, is the ability to live a life true to yourself, unshaken by the world around you. It's not something given to us by circumstances or taken away by challenges. It's a state of being that we cultivate, day by day, through clarity, courage, and compassion. And so, I leave you with this question. If you were to fully embrace the freedom within, how would your life change? What would you let go of? What would you hold on to? And most importantly, who would you become?